concede. And we won't. We won't. The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada. And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect. The Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country.
Good evening. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Poonam Burde. India's eastern frontier has porous borders that has aided illegal infiltration for decades. It's a problem that the BSF, the central government, for decades has been working on. The centre is now making a renewed push to enhance national security, keep illegal migration in check and make entry and stay regulations stricter. The Immigration and Foreigners Bill was tabled in the Lok Sabha by MOS Home Nityanand Rai, who said that the law would not restrict anyone from coming into India legally. It marks a significant overhaul of the country's immigration framework as it replaces some colonial-era provisions to streamline these processes. Now, a major shift in the proposed legislation places the burden of proving legality on the individual rather than the state. That's one of the contentious clauses that seems to have triggered a political face-off. Another bone of contention is the lack of appeal mechanism, as pointed out by the Congress in the House. The opposition also alleged that this bill infringes on fundamental rights, to which the BJP simply asked, what rights for an individual who is illegally residing in India? Now, even as that face-off continues to rage on both inside and outside Parliament, the question really is, will this new bill serve the purpose as per what the government says? Let's break it down to understand better. First and foremost, now this new bill seeks to avoid multiplicity and overlapping of certain laws. Remember, currently India has the Foreigners Act 1946, it has the Passport Act 1920, the Registration of Foreigners Act 1939, the Immigration Act of 2000. What the new bill does is it seeks to combine all of these fragmented colonial era frameworks and make it into one. So the existing provision requires a valid passport and a visa. The government can restrict movement or deport under the Foreigners Act 1946. But grounds are vague and enforcement is discretionary. The new draft bill that was tabled in the Parliament today, on the other hand, it specifies the denial of entry or stay in cases of threats to national security, to sovereignty or ties to hostile states, clearly codified for the very first time. The burden of proof as far as the existing mechanism is concerned is on the suspected individual. However, with the new bill, the onus is to prove the illegal status will depend on authorities. The existing provisions permits existing penalty on carriers for violation of 1 lakh rupees with weak enforcement. The new bill obligates carriers such as airlines or vessels at the port of entry to remove any passenger that's denied entry by an immigration officer. It also provides the passenger and crew data to the authorities in advance. It carries a provision of up to 5 lakh rupees in fine for violating carriers as well. Immigration functions are currently handled by the Bureau of Immigration that are guided by overlapping and often outdated provisions, is what the government has been saying. What the new bill does is that it provides for immigration officers and the Bureau to get adequate legal backing as well instead of a tribunal. The proposed law makes the decision of the immigration officer final and binding. That's something that the opposition has taken objection to as well. Now, according to the draft bill, violations will attract heavy penalties. Arriving in India without a valid passport or a visa may attract punishment of up to 5 years in jail and a fine of about 5 lakh rupees. Foreigners using forged documents could face a jail term of about 2 to 7 years, with fines ranging from 1 lakh to 10 lakh as per the new bill if it turns into a law. More to those overstaying in India or violating their visa conditions or trespassing in restricted areas could result in imprisonment up to 3 years and a fine of about 3 lakh rupees. This is also excessive, is what some of the critics of this draft bill are arguing, which is why many within the opposition want this to be sent for further scrutiny to a select committee. So as we see intensified crackdown across the country, especially here in the national capital, in states like Assam as well, is this bill then excessive like the opposition alleges, or is it the need of the hour? We'll open that up to our panelists tonight.
विदेशियों से संबंधित मामलों को भी नियमित करने के लिए तथा उनसे संसक्त या उनसे अनुषंगिक विषयों का उपबंध करने वाले विधेयक को पुनः स्थापित करने की अनुमति दी जाए।
I rise to oppose the Immigration and Foreigners Bill. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill is in violation of those fundamental rights on multiple counts.
Let's open this up. Aparajita Sarangi, BJP MP of Lok Sabha and national spokesperson is with us. Arshpreet Kadyal, spokesperson of the Congress. Lawyer Ashutosh Srivastava and A.K. Jain, former IPS, joining us. Let me begin by asking Aparajita Sarangi. The opposition says that there is a lot of grey area as far as this draft bill is concerned. A lot of it is against the constitution and infringes on one's fundamental rights. That's why the least that the government can do is send this to a select committee for further scrutiny. Is that something that the government is open to?
A very good evening. Now let me be very clear about the reasons why this particular bill, the Immigration and Foreigners Bill 2025, has been introduced in the Lok Sabha today by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. There are four acts that actually guide the matters, or rather govern the matters pertaining to foreigners and immigration in the country. These four acts are the Foreigners Act 1946, the Immigration Act 2000, Passport Act 1920, Registration of Foreigners Act 1939. Now I must tell you that most of these acts are very old, and many of these provisions of these acts are I would say irrelevant now in present context, number one. And number two, you must realize that most of these acts were actually formulated in extraordinary times, during the times of the First and the Second World War. So you can imagine the need to actually revisit these acts. And number three, I would say that there are many overlapping provisions in these bills. And number four, and very important, the present central government attaches a lot of importance to the issues of security and the territorial integrity of the country. And for that matter, it's very important to have a comprehensive legislation which would guide matters relating to foreigners and immigration. So for that matter, this particular bill has been brought into the Lok Sabha with the best of intentions, and the idea is to regulate well, to regulate the matters pertaining to these issues very well. So I think let us not doubt the intentions of government every time. And as far as the admissibility of the bill, let me tell you very candidly, today Sri Nityanand Rai ji, the Minister of State for Home Affairs, very rightly said on the floor of the House, I was very much present there, he said that the union list grants the central government the authority to enact laws pertaining to immigration and foreign matters. So I think there is absolutely no reason why these people should create a ruckus. They should all come out into the open and support the bill wholeheartedly.
Sure, but ma'am, the question that I asked you was that if there is a greater deliberation that is asked for by the opposition, if there are certain amendments that the opposition is seeking, is that something that the government is on board with? Because the opposition, I don't think, is saying that this bill altogether, or the intention, like you were saying, is problematic altogether. There are certain clauses and sections that they've taken objection to.
Isn't it too premature at this juncture to talk like that? The bill was brought to the Lok Sabha for being introduced. Now the minister of the department has to introduce the bill. So there was a kind of debate on introduction of the bill, and the majority says, yes, let's introduce the bill. And the minister of the concerned department actually comes up and says why he wants to introduce the bill. The justification has to be given by the ministry. Now today the bill has been introduced. There would be debate, there would be dialogue, there would be discussions around the bill. So let it be, let it happen. And I'm sure there would be a lot of suggestions from both sides the treasury benches
Sure.
and the opposition. So let's see how it
Sure.
goes.
So
Whatever the reasons, I think I'm sure there would be some kind of unanimous decision.
Sure. So, Arshpreet, then the government is open to holding a discussion. That's the whole point of tabling this in Parliament, that the discussion happens in the House and not in the well of the House, where slogans are raised and sloganeering happens, and a detailed discussion takes place. Objections are welcome. Why is it then we are seeing the opposition raise a stink about the intent of the bill itself?
See, the Bharatiya Janata Party's government is used to bypassing debate, discussion, deliberation. And for no remo reason, every time the Bharatiya Janata Party's government excludes the stakeholders, excludes the opposition, which is also the representative of people, and directly goes and does not include, but rather they impose over the people. And that's why back in the day also we have seen they brought farm laws, and after a year they had to take them back. They made Advocates Amendment Bill. After a while, they had to again take it back. So there are many examples. There are many instances where the Bharatiya Janata Party has done this, and due to this tearing hurry, this haste, we skip many things. Many important issues are untouched. Many errors are there. The blunders are there. So all we are saying is that you send it to the JPC for further study. The Bharatiya Janata Party also has a problem with that. All we are asking for is due diligence. We are asking for the Bharatiya Janata Party's government to be more meticulous, because we've all seen your blunders back in the day, and then you had to roll them back also. Now,
but why this premature? Or the presumption that there must be blunders in this? That's what the BJP is asking as well. And speaking of the JPC, the Congress right now may say that sent to the JPC, which was done with the Waqf bill, but the JPC there was called a farce. So is it something that doesn't please the opposition at all?
No, see, the fact of the matter is, it's the Bharatiya Janata Party that's been undermining committees of the parliament. There was a report that was submitted by a standing committee as well, which was headed by the former Chief Minister of Punjab, Mr. Charanjit Singh Channi, that MSP should be given to the farmers. But despite that, there was nothing done about that. So it's the BJP that undermines the standing committees, the reports, the suggestions. It's not us. Number two, there's another problem that is there with this bill. It is violative of the Constitution of India. Many provisions in the bill are not in alignment with what the principles of the Constitution are, and the Bharatiya Janata Party is in the habit of doing one thing. They want to take control of everything. They want there to be arbitrariness. What the BJP deems fit should happen. They want to be the judge, jury, and executioner who will get into India, who will go out of India, who will exit. They want to decide everything. And if somebody or someone is not in sync with the Bharatiya Janata Party's ideology, they would definitely have to face consequences. And we have all seen how the BJP has been discriminatory and biased back in the day. We have all seen how the Bharatiya Janata Party has imposed and never ever included people who have not been in alignment with their ideology. And this is something that needs to stop. So all we are saying is that there needs to be more deliberations over this. And if the BJP
so there needs to be more clarity. So let's get that. Ashutosh Srivastav, does this draft bill, if you've read it in detail, does it infringe on the Constitution and the fundamental rights of an individual, as the opposition is alleging?
See, first of all, this is for the immigrants. This is for the foreigners. So obviously, fundamental right that is basically being given to the citizens of this country. This is one part of it. Though I understand that Article 14 of the Constitution gives equal right to everyone, whoever even visit to the country. Now, if we see Article 5 to 11 of the Constitution of India, that empowers the Parliament to make laws related to the foreigners and immigrants. And they have complete power to make laws, obviously by following the due process of law, which is envisaged in the Constitution. And accordingly, the bill was introduced in the Parliament. And now it is open for the parliamentarians to discuss the bill, and they can point out if they have any particular issue with any particular provision of this particular bill which has been presented. But as far as I feel that there are colonial laws as of now, there were a lot of changes which were required to be done, which has not taken place as yet. And we have seen many immigrants from different countries. Recently, we could see so many people from Bangladesh and some other countries without any, evidence, without having any proper documentation, or visa or passport. They are staying in the country for so many years, and that requires to actually change, because see, not only in India, but if you consider many other countries, they also have strict laws so far as foreigners or immigrants are concerned. So I don't find anything wrong in this. There has to be rule of law which has to be applied, and the Constitution of India is empowered to give such powers to the Parliament, and accordingly the rules are being framed. And if there is any contrary to the constitutional provision, I think even the opposition will have all the rights to raise the issue. And even the Supreme Court will be there to look after if there is anything wrong or any
Sure.
provision which is contrary to the constitutional provisions.
Sure, but the
So
powers
I do
that the
not
parliament has or not, I don't think is in contention. I want to get an AK Jain as well. AK Jain, the problem that the opposition seems to be raising is that it gives excessive powers in the hands of a few individuals. That your immigration officer can arrest without a warrant. That's excessive, that they say. The fact that the onus to prove whether you are illegally here or not does not lie with the arresting officer or the state in this case, but with the individual. So you've transferred that responsibility also away from you. That puts the individual at a disadvantage and gives the upper hand and all the rights to the system. That's the allegation that's coming through. As a law enforcement officer, as you've been in the past, do you think that's what this piece of legislation aims to do?
No, not at all. It is being projected in a wrong manner. There is no infringement of fundamental rights of foreigners. National security is being beefed up. I don't see any provision which is violative of constitution, of any article of the constitution. There is going to be a debate in parliament. If a person is entering, suppose you enter US or any other country without a proper documentation, you will be placed under arrest and you will be deported from the airport itself. They will not allow you to enter the country. They have made a mockery of this in our country. So many illegal immigrants are there, and this is being opposed by Congress and other parties. I can openly say, just to please, this is a part of appeasement policy. I will say, national security has to be beefed up. India is growing economically; it is growing. The stature of country is going up, and you are having illegal immigrants in millions and millions. So this is just to please a minority community that we are here, we are opposing it in the parliament, and we will keep on opposing it in the parliament as part of appeasement policy. There is no right. If a foreigner is entering illegally, then he should be checked. He should be deported from here. How can he be given permission to enter the country illegally? He should have proper documents. If he doesn't have proper document, then he should face the law. It is absolutely clear. I don't see any infringement of fundamental rights. It's a debate is going on, as Aparajitka ji is saying. Debate is going on in parliament. It should be debated in parliament. If there is any provision which is violative, there will be an amendment, but it doesn't mean that every act should be sent to JPC or to the select committee, and you keep on lingering it for months and months. Three acts were enacted before our constitution came into effect. So why carry those acts? If there is multiplicity of laws and these four are being abolished, there is already a provision. If a foreigner enters your district, immigration officer, he has to inform the local LIU, the local immigration officer, that yes, I have landed in your country, I am in your district. So such persons should be checked, and if they are not being checked, if there are people in millions in this country without any proper documentation, and they are getting Aadhaar cards made, they are getting PAN cards made, they are getting other documents made through our local leaders, then I think it should be checked, and it is to beef up national security and nothing else.
Absolutely. Harshpreet Kadyal, it is about national security, so perhaps some bitter pills are needed to be taken, and if it is a subject that needs to be discussed, needs to be brought into place to ensure that India's territorial integrity, its national security is not jeopardized, then shouldn't all stakeholders, all parties stand in one voice, stand on one side of the fence?
See, number one, the problem here is that the BJP does not want all of us to stand at the same side. They basically want to call all the shots. They want to make all the decisions. They do not want to delegate. The fact of the matter is that this is not the first time the Bharatiya Janata Party is being attributed this arbitrariness, this decision making that they want to do as to who will enter and who will not. Recently,
But why is it arbitrary? It is the government's job to bring in a legislation, is it not? This is a draft bill that has been tabled by the government. Is that not the government's job?
Answering a question, if Puram, that is the logic that you're giving, then all the laws that are being brought back in the day, all the laws, would you call all of them constitutional? Would you call all of them perfectly all right? Then why were the farm laws taken back if everything passed by a majority is considered to be all right and considered to be...
But that's not what has happened today. The bill is nowhere close to being passed. It was tabled today and there's a discussion that's happening.
I know. I'm just giving you an example. The logic that you gave, I was just rebutting that. Now allow me to answer the first question that you made. See, recently there was an example. Last month, there was an Indian-American politician, Shama Sawant, who was denied a visa, who was supposed to visit her ailing mother in Bangalore. However, and this did not happen once or twice, it happened thrice. However, her husband was granted an emergency visa in order to visit her ailing mother. So that's one. Number two, there's another example of a Natasha Call, who's a British national. There are many other examples, and people have been. And you know what? This Indian-American politician Shama Sawant also posted on Twitter, in fact X, that she was denied entry because she is in the rejection list of the present regime, of the present government. So there have been many examples where we have seen that the Bharatiya Janata Party does not take dissent, does not take difference in opinion well. It is their way or the highway. The Bharatiya Janata, and we have seen that in action of the Bharatiya Janata Party's regime. You know, media outlets which weren't inclined or which had a difference in opinion. We rarely see those channels today. There are many examples which go on to suggest that the Bharatiya Janata Party does not do well with the people who show dissent, and therefore this is another example of that. So all we are saying is that consider it for further study. Do not make another blunder, because that is what a government has been known for. There are around 4 to 5 examples, recent examples, wherein in haste to pass laws, and after that, you had to make a U-turn, a 360-degree U-turn. Mr. Modi, back in the day, even apologized for the black farm laws, which took 7
but there are also other laws that have been passed by this very parliament, of which the opposition is an integral part of. These bills are passed with the opposition there. But Aparajita Sarangi, how do you respond to this allegation coming in from the opposition that this is you trying to, this is, by you I mean the central government, trying to restrict entry to those people who do not follow your or toe your ideological line?
Now, let me be very clear when I say that I'm really looking forward to a very healthy debate, discussion, deliberation and dialogue in the Lok Sabha. You remember 2 bills, One Nation, One Election, and the other one is the Waqf bill which you mentioned. These 2 have gone to the JPC. 6 months we took to deliberate on the Waqf bill. I was a member. And as far as the other One Nation, One Election bill is concerned, this is also being deliberated upon. Today also was one of the meetings. So I think whichever matter is deliberated upon in the Lok Sabha, and whatever the decision in the Lok Sabha, whether it should be sent to the JPC or not to be sent to the JPC, that would be taken on the floor of the House. So I think it is too premature to talk about the fate of the bill and the provisions of the bill as of now. This is one part. Number 2, let me give you certain figures. In the past 1 year, April 1, 2023 to 31st March 2024, as per the Union Home Ministry sources, 98.40 lakh foreigners had come to India. Now, if the Indian government wants to regulate the entry, the stay and the exit of these foreigners, what's wrong with that? Shouldn't we stand for national security? Shouldn't we talk of territorial integrity? Shouldn't we ask people who are in India for a short while to have the necessary passports and the travel documents with them, and the foreigners to have visas with them? What's wrong in that? So if the central government is trying to bring in some reforms, and that's a big reform that we are aiming at, I think all the parties, cutting across party lines, the parliamentarians should come forward and support. And India is not new, let me tell you, my dear friends. In fact, Let me
And
mention
deliberations and
the
discussions
United
are a part
States,
of
Hong Kong,
democracy.
Australia, Singapore,
That's exactly what is
and
being
Gulf
aimed at in the
Cooperation
parliament
Council
as well.
countries have
But-
also come forward
question.
and
Sure.
have also gone for measures to
one
regulate
question.
the foreign and immigration.
Sure.
matters.
Arshmeet, I'm running out of time.
Yeah.
I need to get in the other
So I
two
think
gentlemen
we
as
all
well.
need to
But
welcome
Ashutosh
it.
Srivastav, 30 seconds. If this were to reach a stage where it is passed by the parliament and then ratified and becomes a law, if at all there is a legal challenge to it, in your opinion, would it stand legal scrutiny, yes or no?
Yes, there will still be a provision. One can challenge before the Supreme Court of India if there is any particular provision which they find it to be contrary to the basic principle of the Constitution. It can still be challenged, and I don't feel there is any emergency at this point of time to raise any such concern. If we really want to have the proper security, sovereignty, and integrity of this country, there are certain laws which are required to be updated. They are to be made. And it is not that our country is doing, it is being done in many of the countries. They also keep on
Yes.
making new rules and regulations
Like Ms. Sarangi was also
considering the
pointing
change in
out that,
time.
of course, you need to evolve with time. AK Jain, we're seeing the kind of trouble that we're facing right now is also evolving. We have newer methods of how this infiltration can be aided. We're also in an age of cyber warfare. That's something that we need to take into account as well. But as far as the provisions of this particular draft legislation goes, do you think it is excessive? Do you think that this is something that could be tweaked around, or is this something that could solve the issue of infiltration, could solve the issue of illegal immigration that India has witnessed for decades together?
Well, it will help. It will strengthen the hands of the law enforcement agencies in the country, and it should have been done. BJP government is doing the right thing by bringing this legislation, by bringing this act in parliament. It should be passed after due discussions. I don't see any provision which is in violation of the fundamental rights of foreigners. That I'm again saying, and I'm absolutely sure about it, I don't have any party affiliation, that this is just appeasement politics which is being done by certain parties to please them, that you keep on staying in this country without legal documents. You get local documents made. And
we've seen how easy that is to get done, to make a fake Aadhaar or a fake PAN card.
Yes,
but we'll see we'll see where this goes from here. It's just been introduced. It's still in its nascent stages as far as passing the test of the parliament is concerned. We'll see how it goes there. But I have to leave it here. I thank you all for joining us here on this edition of Plain Speak. It is time for a quick break, but on the other side, we'll get you details of the investigation into the Karnataka gold smuggling racket, which is now peaking. It's a multi-agency probe. There's politics that's playing out on the sidelines as well.
In first place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, with 131,674 votes, resulting in 29,457 allocated points, representing 85.9% of the vote.
My government will put into action our plan to build a stronger economy, to create new trading relationships with reliable trading partners, and to secure our borders. There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't. The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada. And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect. The Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country. Think about it. If they succeeded, they would destroy our way of life. In America, healthcare is a big business. In Canada, it is a right. America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form. Look, we didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight. But Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win. So Donald Trump thinks he can weaken us with his plan to divide and conquer. Pierre Poilievre's plan will leave us divided and ready to be conquered. Because a person who worships at the altar of Donald Trump will kneel before him, not stand up to him. I know that these are dark days. Dark days brought on by a country we can no longer trust. We are getting over the shock, but let us never forget the lessons. We have to look after ourselves, and we have to look out for each other. We need to pull together. When we come together, we build things that last because we are Canada strong. Vive la Canada! Merci tout le monde.
In first place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, with 131,674 votes, resulting in 29,457 allocated points, representing 85.9% of the vote.
Thank you for staying with us. In the latest development in the Karnataka gold smuggling scandal investigation, the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence has apprehended Ranya Rao's close associate, Tarun Raju. Tarun Raju belongs to a prominent Bengaluru-based hotelier family. He was arrested based on information from Ranya Rao and calls that were exchanged between them. He is believed to be a long-time associate of the actress and is believed to have knowledge of all the illicit smuggling activities that she was indulging in. A special court remanded Tarun Raju to DRI custody for 5 days after the agency presented evidence from Ranya Rao's seized mobile phone and laptop that established a link between the two and the smuggling operation. Now, are more heads going to be rolling? That's the question because everybody is asking, because there is no way that Ranya Rao could have pulled this off on her own. CNN News 18 has accessed inside details of investigation that led to the actor's arrest. It was a tip-off, in fact, from one of her own confidants who worked as an informer for the DRI, along with a digital analysis of her assets, her movements, that finally brought the Kannada actor under the scrutiny of the intelligence agencies. Sources revealed that the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, along with other agencies, had been monitoring two significant trends in gold smuggling, including the rise in smuggling through air routes. It was observed that the South Indian airports reported more gold seizures than their North Indian counterparts. In December last year, a team got a tip-off that a high-profile network is working to smuggle gold, and working on that lead, these officials got to know that Ranya had planned trips to the Middle East. Upon analysis of financial assets and information, it was found that she had made multiple trips to the Middle East between the second week of February and March. In fact, she is believed to have made about 27 to 30 trips to Dubai in just last 1 year. A tip-off from the informer, who was also known to Rao, suggested that she was about to receive a large quantity of gold and she possessed some on her body, with which she was arrested. Now, according to sources, DRI has been actively working to curb this gold smuggling through air routes, which has seen a resurgence. The officials also noted that several high-profile individuals are under scrutiny as these tactics continue to evolve. Now, there are clearly a number of factors at play that seem to have emboldened Ranya Rao to smuggle gold in such large quantities. When she was arrested, she had 14 kilograms of gold taped to her body. So was it having a top cop police officer as her father that enabled her to misuse these set protocols? Remember, she's a stepdaughter of a DGP rank officer in Karnataka. She bypassed security checks. She even got police officers to escort her through these trips that she made when she arrived at the Bengaluru airport. In fact, in this particular trip, we're given to understand that a constable that she contacted, she tried to pressure him to come and give her the security clearance to take her out of the airport, but he refused to do it, citing some other duty that he was on. That eventually led to her getting frisked, that eventually led her to getting arrested. So as this scandal now, as more details come out of this particular scandal, is it political patronage or the system as a whole that emboldened Ranya Rao? That's something that we open up to our guests.
Once the CBI comes out with definite information, who is involved, who is not involved, all that we will know.
Land of 12 acres in Sira was allocated for, 12 acres was allocated for a TMT factory to this lady and her two brothers, I believe, some two of his partners.
Now the CBI has taken over the case. Surely something solid will come out of it, and we'll surely know who is behind all these things, who is behind this gold smuggling and related issues also.
Let's open this up. Sudha Halkai, spokesperson of Karnataka BJP, is with us. Nizam Fauzdar, spokesperson of Karnataka Congress, is with us as well. Let me begin with you, Mr. Fauzdar. The allegations against the Congress party is that there are several calls that Ranya Rao allegedly made to certain politicians within the ruling dispensation at the moment, which is the Congress, some even ministers, to help her. Now, of course, that is under investigation, but does that not cast aspersions on whether or not she did have some kind of political patronage? She is, after all, the daughter of a DGP rank officer in the state.
A DGP ranked officer daughter does not mean she belongs to the ruling dispensation. The country has become a smuggling nation and the capital of smuggling in the world under the BJP's rule. 87,607 kgs of drugs gets seized in one single year. If you multiply that by about 10 times, it's about 8 tons of drugs, gold, the illegal cigarettes, to everything has been rising in the last 10 years. The BJP's government has been solely responsible for making this country into a drug capital of the world, the smuggling capital of the world, and then the BJP cannot simply throw allegations on Congress party and say that the ruling dispensation is with the so-called the Ranya Rao. The BJP needs to tell us how a certain amount of people under their rule have been prospering and how they have been able to run these rackets flawlessly, untouched. And when such small bubbles rise, BJP starts throwing allegations on the ruling party in whichever state this happens. This is a design and the
So 14
conspiracy
kilograms
of, the
of
BJP,
gold on her
how
body,
it
some
converts.
more cash at her house, some more gold bars at her house is not a small incident. Also, the reason
not a
why
small
Congress is
incident.
facing questions is because this DGP rank officer, well, may not be associated with the Congress party, but she was arrested on the 3rd of March. Today is 11th. An investigation into whether he played a role or not has been launched today. Shouldn't that have been the first thing that was investigated by the state government?
Let me ask you that question. The DRI belongs to the central government. The CBI belongs to the central government. We don't control these agencies.
Then why have you asked for a report today? Then why have you launched an investigation today?
Because these agencies have been sleeping and not taking the accused in the custody. They immediately send these accused directly to the judicial custody without asking, without questioning, without probing, without investigation. So now the
Sir,
state
Ranya Rao was in the
government feels
custody
that
of the
there must be a
DRI.
lot
The
of-
second arrest that has
Why?
been made, Tarun Raju, is also now in DRI custody for 5 days.
Why she is not in the police custody for questioning? She is in
She
the
was,
judicial
sir. There was
custody.
custodial interrogation. She's
Safely
been
kept.
given to.
No,
She's been
that's
sent
what
to
the
judicial
BJP
custody now.
That's what that is why Mr. Amit Shah, the Home Minister of this country, needs to answer why DRI did not take the accused into custody and immediately question. They sent directly her. They send the actress Rao directly to the judicial custody. That means she's kept safe.
She
That
was
means there must be some
interrogated in
negotiations
custody. There was
happening.
custodial interrogation for 3 days, sir. Maybe you should get your facts right. So let me put that on record. But Sudha Halkai, the BJP, but Sudha Halkai, okay, let me get in the BJP. Sudha Halkai, the allegation against the BJP is that the DRI is a central agency. The CBI is investigating certain aspects of it, also a central agency. So why are questions being asked of the Congress party?
At the foremost, I would like to congratulate the DRI and the CBI that, such persons like, Ranya Rao has been caught red-handed, and this credit goes to the DRI. And if he says that BJP is not working on it, then I must say that the credit must be given to BJP then. And earlier also we have, completely sidelined the terrorism in our country, where during the Congress resume, every now and then there were terrorist attacks, and every Indian citizen was scared. We don't know where the bomb would explode. Now that's not the scenario. The whole country is safe from the terrorism compared to the Congress. This one, and compared in past 2 years. No.
Okay, she didn't interrupt you. Let's keep this civil. Let's keep this civil, Mr. Fauzdar. She didn't interrupt you. Give her the courtesy. I'll give you your time to rebut her. Let her finish, please.
And the thing is, it is not the BJP which is telling that the Congress leaders are involved in this. It is the interrogation which is done by the TRI. The team has told that she has made connections. She has called some 2 ministers from her mobile, and that is what they are telling. My apprehension here is, we have seen how the Congress Karnataka has always played.
Sir, please, I'm requesting you. Please don't interrupt her. Let her finish. You can rebut her. You can rebut every allegation she makes against you, and I'll give you the time to do that. But please, let's not heckle each other. And I request both of you all to follow that, and let's have a civilized debate, please. Sudha Halkai, please complete.
I've been following that. I'm not interrupted.
Yes,
Let
go
me
ahead.
complete my question. See, earlier also, including the Chief Minister, Mr. Siddaramaiah, we have seen how he had completely closed the cases of the Lokayukta, and he has banned the cases of Lokayukta. So the Congress government in Karnataka has a history of, abolishing all the investigation agencies and trying to use all the escape routes when it comes to them, questioning them or interrogating them. So here also my apprehension is, whatever the DRI has told that, she has been in connection with the 2 of the ministers. So this should not be stopped here, and the thorough investigation, stringent investigation has to take place over here. And this is because past 2 years we have seen how, the Congress government, after the formation of the Congress government, it has become an harvest and festival for all the looters, the dacoits, the smugglers, and all the anti-nationals, and law and order has completely collapsed today to such an extent. The tourists who have come to Karnataka, they have been raped, they have been murdered. Isn't the Congress government ashamed today for what the Karnataka is facing for the lapse of law and order? Nobody is safe here today, and they talk about the BJP government. It is the BJP government which has always stood against the terrorism, against the anti-national, not like you people who have always supported the anti-national, like, whenever there's a bomb blast, they say they are my brothers, and when they say it's a...
Sure. Okay, let's not digress. Let's stick to the subject. As far as this particular investigation goes, Mr. Fauzdar, you had a few questions you wanted to ask of the BJP. Go ahead.
See, Poonam, when Sudha starts speaking, she starts throwing these loose allegations at the bomb blast. Now let me ask, who did the bomb blast in the Malaysia?
Okay, I request both of you all, please. Now let him finish. I'll come back to you, Sudha Halkai.
Halkai ji, you have to answer these questions. You cannot escape by simply throwing allegations. Now tell me, where did those 90,000 kgs of drugs come from? Where did the 23,000 crores of drugs come from? Why is the gold smuggling happening from Bangladesh, Nepal and Myanmar? You have to answer. The borders are in your control. You cannot simply throw allegations here. The airport belongs to you. The airport is under your control. The airport trucks and people are under your control. The CBI is under your control. The DRI is in your control. You can't throw these allegations saying that we are doing it. The BJP supports the smugglers. The BJP supports the terrorists. The BJP is supporting all the illegal activities in the country. And Amit Shah seems to be the central focus of them. Today you have to answer, why is the BJP shivering? Why is the BJP shivering whenever there is a smuggling case happening in this country? The BJP...
Okay, Sudha Halkai and Nizam Fauzdar, let me get in here, please. Sudha Halkai and Nizam Fauzdar, let me get in, please. Sudha Halkai, let me ask you this. This allegation that is being made of the alleged involvement of certain Congress leaders or even ministers, that Ranya Rao allegedly called some of these ministers for help after she was arrested. Is there any evidence to back this?
Information which is given by the DRI officials, it is not what the BJP is saying, and this is what they have told. And I told you before also, the only apprehension, seeing the history of the Congress in Karnataka, they have always tried to close all the doors of the investigation agencies.
Mr. Fauzdar, please, just a second. The question was for Sudha Halkai. Let her please answer.
And this is not just this is an international racket, and I don't think only Ramya is involved.
Mr. Fauzdar, please, I'm requesting you, please, let's not heckle anyone. Let her finish, please. I'll come back to you.
This is an international racket, and the big syndicate is there, and this has to be, exposed. And because Ramya has used all her father's immunity, and instead of she being an actress, she should have been a role model. But today she is a liability. So this case itself should give a threat to all the people who are into this, especially those who are born with the golden.
In that case, Ms. Halkai, why has the DRI not questioned the DGP yet? If the role of the DGP is so clear that perhaps his office or his position of power was misused by his stepdaughter, why has he not been investigated so far? Why has he not been questioned? Why has his statement not been recorded?
He will be investigated. They are thoroughly doing. I told Tarun Raj has been arrested now, and so on. They are doing it thoroughly because she's not cooperating very well. After everything, she's she's breaking up. She's into tears. She's not answering anything. So it is the DRI is finding it little difficult because they've got all her laptops and the mobile and all the digital devices. They have come out with all the list to whom she has contacted and all. They were able to rule out this thing. That's the thing. And this is how they really. We have
so Nizam Fauzdar, due diligence is being done by the agency. Why the hurry?
The due diligence and the process taken by the DRI and CBI seems to be on a snail speed. The BJP is centrally focusing on two things. Whenever there is a scandal, whenever there is a racket, they seem to throw those allegations on the opposition party. No, you need to understand this. The central focus, the country has become a smuggling capital of the world.
Union Minister
the drugs are passing through. India has become the silk route of drugs. So that you have to listen to me now. The country has become a silk route.
I will not, because you people have spoiled the peace and harmony of my people. You people are responsible for all the negative news in the media today. Every day there is one or the Karnataka was known for its progress. Had a welcoming for all the people of the world.
Are you people sleeping? And you are talking about Karnataka when Karnataka is the most prosperous state?
The most developed state, you have got it into a road.
When Karnataka is the most prosperous state, you are
But
questioning.
Mr. Fauzdar, what has Karnataka being the most prosperous state, what has that got to do with with this particular case. If this particular case has come to the fore from Bengaluru, it will be investigated. Their questions will be asked of the state government of that particular time. In the last 1 year, Ranya Rao has made 27 trips to Dubai.
She has made 27 visits to Dubai, and all this was scrutinized because of a number of visits to Ranya Rao, and it was noticed that few of her visits to abroad was only couple of days. That is how they were scrutining, and they were waiting to catch her red-handed. And all her visits, everything with whom all she has gone, everything has been noted down. Nothing is left over there. That is the way. That is the reason they have
not reached BJP.
Again, allegations can keep flying on both sides. The BJP says Congress is involved, the Congress says the BJP is involved. But who exactly seems to be running this entire racket? Because it's hard to believe that one individual, or two in this case, that have been arrested were running a racket for this long and carrying about 14 kilograms of gold on that person's body while traveling from Dubai to Bengaluru. That's something that the investigating agencies, and multiple of them that are investigating this case, will now have to unearth. I have to leave it there. I thank you both for joining us here on this edition of Plain Speak. Shifting focus now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Mauritius for a two-day visit to the East African nation this morning. He was received at the airport in Port Louis by the Mauritian Prime Minister. The two leaders were caught exchanging a warm hug, as is the Prime Minister seen on multiple occasions with several other global leaders. The Prime Minister was honoured with a traditional Bihari cultural performance. It was truly a warm welcome that was accorded, also showing the connect that several Biharis in the state of Bihar have with the country of Mauritius. Prime Minister, along with his Mauritian counterpart, also planted a bale tree as part of the Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam initiative. The Prime Minister gifted a Mahakumbh Gangajal to the Mauritian to the Mauritian President, along with a Makhana from Bihar, again highlighting that particular connect that the two countries have. A Banarsi silk sari and a Ganesh idol were also part of the gifts that were given to his family. Now, Prime Minister Modi is expected to address a community event later this evening. Also, bilateral talks will be taking place between the two sides. As far as India is concerned, Mauritius is a key ally. We need it to stay that way, especially as far as the Indian Ocean, the Indo-Pacific is concerned, and India cementing its position as a global leader in the Indo-Pacific is concerned. Mauritius is a country that India wants on its side. We'll decode the significance of this particular visit because the global leaders and these two global powers are intensifying their engagement. During this two-day visit, we're given to understand that India's renewed commitment to strengthen ties, of course, is going to be of highlight. China is expanding its presence through infrastructure investments, through military cooperation in the Indo-Pacific. India, meanwhile, is deepening ties with Mauritius. Historically, its closest partner in the region, it carries significant geopolitical implications. Mauritius occupies a critical position in the Indian Ocean. It makes it a key player as far as the regional security is concerned. It also gives a big boost to trade ties between the two countries. India has been a long-standing security partner of Mauritius, supporting its maritime capabilities through defence cooperation, through naval training, through infrastructure development as well. Prime Minister Modi's visit will deepen all of these engagements, potentially through new defence agreements or even maritime security initiatives, which the two leaders are expected to talk when they sit down for that bilateral. But before the Prime Minister speaks to the Indian diaspora in Mauritius, take a look at the snippets of this visit so far.
In first place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, with 100. and 31,674 votes, resulting in 29,457 allocated points, representing 85.9% of the vote.
My government will put into action our plan to build a stronger economy, to create new trading relationships with reliable trading partners, and to secure our borders. There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Yeah. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't. The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada. And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect. The Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country. Think about it. If they succeeded, they would destroy our way of life. In America, healthcare is a big business. In Canada, it is a right. America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form. Look, we didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight. But Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win. So Donald Trump thinks he can weaken us with his plan to divide and conquer. Pierre Poilievre's plan will leave us divided and ready to be conquered. Because a person who worships at the altar of Donald Trump will kneel before him, not stand up to him. I know that these are dark days. Dark days brought on by a country we can no longer trust. We are getting over the shock, but let us never forget the lessons. We have to look after ourselves, and we have to look out for each other. We need to pull together. When we come together, we build things that last because we are Canada strong. Vive la Canada! Merci tout le monde.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I am Anand Narasimhan. RSS National General Secretary Dattatreya Hosable has reignited the Bharat versus India debate. Hosbaleji has questioned as to why institutions like the Reserve Bank of India, State Bank of India, and even the Constitution of India still carry their colonial era names. Hosbaleji questioned the different names and terms of reference for the same institutions or even the Constitution in Hindi and English. So, Reserve Bank of India becomes Bharatiya Reserve Bank in Hindi, State Bank of India becomes Bharatiya State Bank, and Constitution of India becomes Bharatiya Samvidhan. So, he's made the pitch for using Bharat in all languages and drop the India reference. Now remember, Draupadi Murmuji's G20 invite said President of Bharat. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's current nameplate outside the house is Prime Minister of Bharat. Hosbaleji has linked English dominance and different terms of reference to a residue of colonialism. Listen in.
क्योंकि भारत के नाम को इंडिया ही कहना चाहिए, वो इंग्लिश में इंडिया है और भारतीय भाषा में भारत है। क्या ऐसे हो सकता है दुनिया में कहीं? कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया भारत का संविधान, रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया भारतीय रिजर्व बैंक, हर जगह पर ऐसे क्यों करना पड़ रहा है? प्रश्न उठना चाहिए, इसको ठीक करना ही पड़ेगा ना। देश का नाम भारत है तो भारत ही कहो, और एक इंडिया क्या और एक क्या?
Long years back, they want to cut the India. They only want to remain the Bharat. So this is their ideology and also their policy and also their line. So the people of India is not accepted this.
आप जिस नाम से पुकारना चाहें आप पुकारें। वज़ीर आज़म साहब के जहाज पे भारत भी लिखा है, इंडिया भी लिखा है। इट्स कॉल्ड द इंडियन एयरफोर्स, इंडियन आर्मी। लेकिन हम भारत के हवाले से भी बात करते हैं। जब हम सारे जहां से अच्छा गाते हैं तो क्या कहते हैं? अलग नाम है। आप जिस नाम से पुकारना चाहें आप पुकारें।
अब समाज सेवा का बना हुआ ये संगठन अगर इस तरीके की बात करेगा, जो मुद्दे देश के हैं, जॉबलेसनेस के हैं, जो इकोनॉमी के हैं, पर कैपिटा इनकम के हैं, बढ़ती महंगाई के हैं, महिला सम्मान के हैं, और वो इन सब चीज़ों से ध्यान भटकाने के लिए वो इस तरीके की बयानबाजी।
So not surprisingly, the opposition hitting back there and also accusing the RSS of attempting to A, rewrite history and B, deliberately try to deviate the discourse from the actual real issues that face our country. Now, this debate on rebranding, renaming is not a fresh one. Many other nations in the past and also recently have changed their names to expand their link to their traditional past, to where they hail from, who they are. So Persia was renamed Iran. Siam was renamed Thailand. Democratic Kampuchea was renamed Cambodia. Burma was renamed Myanmar. Holland was renamed the Netherlands. Irish Free State was renamed Ireland. Ceylon was named Sri Lanka. Rhodesia was named Zimbabwe. Swaziland was renamed Eswatini. The Czech Republic was renamed Czechia. Turkey now should be called Turkiye. But this task with Bharat is not so simple. If the centre is driven to rename India as Bharat across the board, as we have seen in several government engagements, then the route is quite a daunting one. One, it is legally permissible, but an amendment is needed to remove India from the constitution so that this reference India doesn't come anywhere. India is mentioned